Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to our channel, Red Bull Coffee and Crime. I hope everybody's having a wonderful day. Um, we have Arctic Fox True Crime and Garnett today on panel. How are you guys doing?
I'm here.
I am good.
Good. Today the case we will be speaking about is a tragic and horrific incident that took place on the night of June 6, 1996. This is the case of Darlie Lynn Peck Routier. So, Darlie Routier was born on January 4th, 1970, making her a Capricorn, in Altoona, Pennsylvania, to parents Larry Peck and Darlie Key. She has a sister named Daniela Fugate. When Routier was a teacher, she relocated to Lubbock with her mother and stepfather, Roby Key. Her mother found work at a Western sizzling restaurant where Darren also worked. On Mother's Day in May 1985, Darlie's mother had set up a meeting between the two. Darren, at just 17, proved to be an ambitious assistant manager. She knew that he would be a good match for her 15-year-old daughter, and she was right. The two had their first date that same evening, and they fell in love and became inseparable. In fact, they only waited until August 1988 to get married due to their age. An entrepreneur since he was 13, Darren was doing very well at the time. She she studied at Monterey High School in Lubbock, graduating in 1988. Initially, Darren was quite successful with his small company that tested electronic components. They purchased a new house in Rolette, an affluent suburb of Dallas, Texas, and spent thousands of dollars in renovating. He bought a 1982 Jaguar and a 30-foot cabin cruiser while she underwent a breast augmentation surgery in 1992 and bought a large amount of flashy jewelry. Devin Rush Routier was born less than a year after their marriage on June 14, 1989. She gave birth to Damon Christian Routier on February 19, 1991. Their youngest, Drake, and only Routier boy to survive the incident, was born on October 18, 1995. All accounts agreed that the Routiers were living beyond their means, but those who knew them did not realize that at the time. The Routiers were model residents and a picture-perfect family. Darlie baked cookies for the neighborhood kids who would later testify on her behalf before the court. They even assisted a cancer patient with a mortgage payment. It all changed when their business started to operate at a loss. They had applied for a loan shortly before the murders, but were rejected because of their dire financial situation. They were behind on their own mortgage and owed $10,000 in back taxes and $12,000 on credit cards. There were also marital problems in the months leading up to the incident. At one point, Routier contemplated suicide and wrote a note to her children in her diary. She asked them to forgive her and not to feel responsible for her death. Hey, Checking. How are you, Garnett?
I don't know whether you can hear me.
Oh, now I can.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
All right. On June 6th of 1996, Darlie Lynn Routier was sleeping in the downstairs family room with her children, Damon, age 5, and Devin, age 6. The children were sleeping on the floor, and Darlie fell asleep while watching television, leaving both the TV and the sound on, something the lead detective, Jimmy Patterson, would later confirm in his testimony as at her bond hearing. while Darlie's husband, Darren, slept upstairs in the master bedroom with the couple's youngest son, Drake. Darlie and her 2 children were brutally attacked. The children were stabbed in Darlie's arm.
Burnett.
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Could you hear me before?
Yeah.
Why'd you call my name?
No,
Because
I
it
mean
went
we
silent.
didn't. It went silent for a minute.
I don't know why my phone's doing that.
I don't know. You were at the part where the throat were cut. The
All right,
children.
just give me a second to get back there. If somebody else is where I was at, they could go ahead and pick up. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Darlie.
All right.
Oh.
Darlie later told police she awoke to find an intruder in her home. He fled through the utility room out into the garage. Police who responded to the scene discovered that one of the large windows in the garage was open and the screen had been cut. Upon awakening and discovering that someone was in her home, Darlie followed the intruder to the utility room. She told the police he dropped a knife on the floor and that she picked it up. This is not an unreasonable action because Darlie was previously unarmed. However, the action of picking up the knife later caused police and prosecutors to doubt Darlie's story of an intruder, because after she was admonished by the police dispatcher not to touch anything, she acknowledged she had already touched the knife. Darlie quickly realized that picking up the knife possibly compromised fingerprint evidence that could have been obtained. Darlie's phone call to police lasted for almost 6 minutes and began around 2:30 a.m. During that time, Darren can be heard in the first 30 seconds of the call. The first officer to arrive on the scene was Officer Wandle, is also heard. Waddle testified at Darlie's trial that she did not show concern for her children and that she refused to help them. These claims were refuted by the 911 recording, where Darlie is heard speaking to her youngest child, Damon, who was still alive by the time the police and the paramedics arrived.
All right, and we will play that 911 call.
Lex.
If you're playing the call, we can't hear it.
Huh?
I said, if you're playing that 911 call, we can't hear it.
The whole time y'all couldn't hear it?
No.
What the? I wonder why not. Because I hear it perfectly fine. That is so weird. Okay. I don't know. Let me see. Can you hear it now?
No.
That is really weird. Um. Huh. You should be able to hear it. The hell? Hold on. Um. Can you? Speakers.
Well, we had sound of it for just a second a minute ago.
Okay, let me see. Can you hear it now?
There we go.
Oh, I guess I have to show. I wonder if I'll get a strike though. I'll just whatever. All right.
Ma'am, I'm trying to get an ambulance to you. I'm not really. What's going on, ma'am? Oh my God! I don't want to know medical emergency. Help to bring the victim and heal the attention 901 medical emergency. Oh my God!
Can you hear it still?
Not now.
Huh?
We can't hear anything except for you right now.
I don't understand what's going on. Okay.
Calm down and talk to me. 1501 Eagle. Ma'am, listen to me. I need you. Oh my God. Can you take the radio clip? Oh my God, ma'am. I need you to talk to me. Ma'am, I can't understand you. You guys slow down, calm down, talk to me. What is going on? Oh my God! your boy. No. Okay. Oh my God. Oh my God. Calm down, kitty. Oh my God. Your name's Darlie? Did I put that down? Yes, please. There's nobody in your head. You don't know who this is? There's a knife. Don't press anything. Okay, ma'am, listen. There's a police officer. Your front door. Is your front door unlocked? Okay. Okay, is 82 out on legal? Oh my God. What would they do this? What do you guys? Why would they do this? Okay, listen, ma'am. You need to let the officers in the front door, okay? What? Ma'am? You need to let the police officers in the front door. Okay, it's all right. It's okay. We got the press, baby. Hang on. We walked in here and did it, there. Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, is the police officer there? Okay, go talk to him, okay? Yes, that's okay. Go talk to him, okay?
Okay. That was so weird. That was the end of it. All right. So Thomas.
Oh shit, I was on mute. Sorry. So I kind of want to take a second just to kind of switch some gears around and discuss some of the strange things that are surrounding the murders of the Routier kids and uncovering the truth about what really happened during the early morning hours of June the 6th, 1996. Requires one to look at reported occurrences and sightings before, during, and after the crimes took place. An examination of this type of case must extend outside the family home and reflect an overall picture of the neighborhood as well. So there was an attempted break-in. On June the 11th of 1996, Mary Angelina Rickles, known as Angel, contacted the Rowlett Police Department to inform them that during the early morning hours of June the 6th, an unidentified man attempted to enter her home. The defense called Rickles to testify at Darlie's trial, and she explained that she had been home with her 15-year-old daughter when the incident happened. She was married and also had two other children who were staying with their grandmother at the time. Her husband worked the night shift and leaving the house at 9:30 p.m. and returning the following morning at 9:30 or 10 a.m. Rickles testified that she was watching television at 1:30 a.m. when a series of strange occurrences took place. At first, she heard sounds as though someone were trying to get into the house through a door. Initially, she believed it was her husband who would come home from work periodically to check on her. She had suffered a stroke and she had a number of heart attacks and had also recently lost her brother. However, she became suspicious when she heard the sound of wood splitting and a loud cracking noise. This prompted her to turn on the porch light to see what happened. In her testimony, she described seeing two men standing outside through a peephole in the door. One was stockier than the other one. He was wearing a knit cap and had blonde hair sticking out from under the cap. She said he was wearing a dark jogging suit. The other individual was tall and thin, and the men ran from the house and headed in the direction of Willowbrook Drive. Willowbrook eventually leads to Eagle Drive, where the Routiers lived. Once the men left, Rickles described feeling as though the incident had passed, but she was still frightened. Rickles explained during her testimony that she proceeded to calm her 15-year-old daughter, who had also witnessed the events and was scared. They resumed watching television and a short time later heard what sounded like tapping coming from the bedroom window located near the front of the house. Rickles peered through the blinds and saw that the two men had returned. This time, she saw that they had a metal object that looked like either a screwdriver or a knife. She turned off the bedroom light and the men left. They did not return again that evening. Though shaken by the incident, Rickles testified that she did not call police that night to report the incident. She stayed awake the rest of the night. Later on that morning, she told her husband she would go on to relay the story to other family members as well. Rickles did not call the police until the 11th. She explained that once the incident took place, she did not see a point in calling them. She said the following during trial. At that time, I was thinking it was, girl, you've got some type of weird ass shit going on in this text you sent me. At that time, she was thinking it was over. What can the police do? What can they really do now, you know? She also reported seeing a dark vehicle parked outside. She did not recognize the vehicle, but appeared to remain in the same spot throughout the night. She did not describe seeing anyone getting into or out of that vehicle that night, just the vehicle, and that car was present during that same time frame. A telephone memorandum taken by the Roulette police stated that the vehicle in question belonged to someone living at 8826 Miami Drive. The bizarre incidents did not stop with the attempted break in, however. In August, Rickles saw what appeared to be the same vehicle as the one she saw the morning of June the 6th. She stated again in August that she saw the car pull out there, and what triggered her memory was that the person that got out of the car was the same build as the stocky guy that she had seen before. So she ran in and called the police. The police came to the home, and Rickles described them going to the home, and she pointed out to them and bringing a small, skinny person in handcuffs. She said the person that they removed from her home was shorter than the one that she saw on June the 6th. In November, Rickles stated that she had gone out into her garage to smoke a cigarette at about 2:30 to 3 a.m. The garage door was open about a foot. She heard what sounded like shuffling footsteps in the driveway. She then testified to the following: was scared, and so I just pulled the door down and stuck a stick in the door so they couldn't lift it. She called police again later on that morning. No further information was given during testimony about the attempted break-in, the car sighting, or even the police removing an individual in handcuffs from a nearby home. The report of the break-in coincides with the time frame in which Darlie Routier claimed an unknown person entered her home. Rickles described the first incident occurring at about 1:30 a.m. The men left the area and returned at approximately 2 a.m. It was after 2 a.m. that Rickles described seeing the vehicle. These times are estimates, but they occurred before Darlie made her 911 call reporting the stabbing of her two children and the attack on herself. That call took place at 2:30 a.m. It's important to point out that the Rickles family home was about half a mile from the Routier home. It would take approximately 9 minutes to walk from the home on Miami Drive to where the Routier family lived at 5801 Eagle Drive in Roulette, Texas. It would take far less time to drive there.
The police noted on the telephone that the vehicle was a 1989 Ford two-door. The make of the car was not given, even though the police provided other details such as a license plate number, reported vehicle, and people sightings. In the time leading up to the crimes, a number of unusual sightings were reported. On June 6th, Sally Bingham reported to the police that she was a neighbor of the Routier family. She described being awake at 1 to 1:30 a.m. in the morning the murders took place. Bingham stated she kept seeing car lights driving through the neighborhood. Her bedroom had a bay window. The vehicle had several made several trips down the street before Bingham finally got up and looked outside to see a white vehicle. The only other description of the vehicle was celebrity type. On June 7th, Betty Jung reported that her son saw a suspicious looking man in the morning wearing blue jeans, a white t shirt, and a black cap. He was also carrying a knapsack. A note on the memo states, probably same person, Officer Collette questioned on 66 at Barrett's. The sighting took place at the Roulette Vet Clinic, located about 3 miles west of the Routier home. An additional lead sheet described a man fitting the same description carrying a backpack near I-30 in Dalrock. The tip was dated June 6, 1996 at 4 p.m. It described the sighting as taking place at 5 a.m. I-30 was located south of the Routier home about 2.5 miles away. Was the person observed in these two separate sightings the same individual? Who did Collette question? Also, on June 7th, Jonathan Hartley called police to report the Dallas Morning News mail carrier had threatened him. He stated the man's name was Ray Clemens and suggested that police look into him. Hartley lived on 8301 Eagle Drive, approximately 285 feet from the Routier home. Corey Keith lived in the neighborhood and contacted police on June 7th to report an incident that occurred during the week before the murders. He described returning home at 2:30 to 3 a.m. and seeing an older style minivan driving slowly down Eagle Drive. He described the occupants of the van as shining lights on houses. The van left the area as Keith approached. He tried to turn around to get a better look at the van, but he was unable to locate it once he did. The only other description of the van was that it was possible light tan in color. The driver appeared to be a white male in his 20s. No description was given for the passenger. Is Garnett still on? Garnett? Garnett? We can't hear you. Julie Clark was another person who contacted the police the day after the murders. Does she know she's on mute?
I'm having a hard time with my audio, so go ahead.
Okay. She described herself as a close friend of the Routiers when she testified at Darlie's trial. She indicated that on the day of the murders, a woman who cleaned Darlie's house saw a black vehicle. The sighting of the black car was reported by the woman's daughter, Barbara Joel, as well. Joel's mother reportedly saw a black two-door sports car driving slowly down the alley located behind the Routier home. The vehicle stopped in the alley and was described as having a dark complexion. When Joel's mom went into the garage, the vehicle had driven away. Barbara also reported seeing a vehicle matching the same description. On June 5th, Barbara had gone to pick up her mother up from Darlie's home. As the two were leaving, they saw a black sports car pass them. Barbara's mom said it was the same vehicle she saw the day before. Barbara added to the description by stating the car had bad paint and a short trunk area. So on June 8th, John Reed contacted police to report the day of the murders. He was in the front yard cleaning up, and his two grandchildren were with him. They saw a white male sitting in a faded blue older model four-door car. He described this man as suspicious. The distance from the address indicated on the telephone memo in the Routier home is 0.4 miles. No further information is provided on the telephone lead sheet. However, the words duplication of one Keith had is written across the bottom. At the top of the page, it says same, and then shows the number 0021 over the number 0007. A separate lead sheet with the same date gave a little more information. Hold on. The tip describes the man seeing a car parked down the street. The driver appeared to be watching the men's grandchildren. The lead sheet says that when the man who reported this got into his vehicle to drive down to the suspicious looking car, the man then pulled away and left. The address matched the one above, but the last name was recorded as something other than Reed. Additionally, under the street address of 6312 Highgate Lane, the officer wrote Dallas, Texas. The street address exists in both Dallas and Rolette. If the police obtained confirmation of the correct city, it is not indicated. The address in Dallas is almost 20 miles from the Routier home. On June 9th, Bill Nuff contacted police and gave information about seeing a vehicle cruising his neighborhood the evening of the murders. Nuff said the driver was a young white male who was acting suspicious. The car apparently stopped near the Routier's corner house around 7 to 8 p.m. He was unable to get a license plate number, saying only that the vehicle he observed was either a Geostorm or a Dodge Neon. The vehicle had two doors, a hatchback, and was either blue or purple. On June 17th, Officer Needham described a report police received of a black Nissan with an identified Texas license plate. It was observed in the area of the Routier home. Officer Needham and Detective Latham also saw this vehicle. The lead sheet states owner had been in the area after the murders. Sightseeing. No further information was given about the owner of the car or whether police even established the individual had an alibi the night of the murders. Perhaps one of the stranger vehicle sightings was reported by Bob Sausley. He first called into the police department on June 8th. He was a delivery person for the Daily Business News and delivered the paper across the street from the Routier home at 12:30 a.m., the night of the murders. In the first description, it says, did not see anything suspicious. The following day, Detective Needham spoke to Sausley. He reiterated that he was in the area the evening of the murders at about 12 to 12:30 a.m. However, this time he said he saw a white car in the driveway of the Routier home. Thomas, you think you could take over for a minute? It was described
as a suburban type, and the Routiers had two vehicles in June of 1996. The first was a dark green Nissan Pathfinder. The second was an older Jaguar. The Jaguar was in the shop at the time. It appears that the police may have dismissed the sightings because the note says that Salzy was colorblind. The problem is that a person who is colorblind is unlikely to mistake a dark green vehicle for a white one. There are different forms of colorblindness. A person who has it may have difficulty identifying red, green, or both, which I can attest to. However, people who are colorblind can see different shades in that their inability to distinguish a color does not mean it would appear blank or white. Another problem with their dismissing the sighting of a vehicle in the driveway that night is that the Pathfinder was not parked in the driveway of the Routier home. Various testimony throughout Darlie's trial revealed the Pathfinder was routinely parked out in front of their house instead of in the driveway. A neighbor named William Gorsh testified that he saw the vehicle parked in front of the home the morning of the murders. Darren also testified he parked the Pathfinder in front of the home. Whose car was parked in the driveway that evening, if it was not the Routiers? In 2002, Darlie Potter gave an affidavit describing an unusual sighting during the early morning hours of June the 6th. Potter was returning to her residence after visiting her daughter in Claiborne, Texas, sometime after 2 a.m. She reported that she had reached Doll Rock Road north of Highway 66, approaching a curve. She approached the curve because she slowed considerably down because she was pulling a trailer behind her van. She stated the following: all suddenly, I saw a man walking down the edge of the left side of the roadway, headed in the same direction I was going. He was about 6 feet tall, medium build, had shoulder-length brownish hair, which was messed up, wearing a black T-shirt, and he was barefooted. Potter then observed a second man walking on the left edge of the road as well. She described the second man as wearing a light colored baseball cap, a white shirt, and blue jeans. She said he was tall and had a stocky standing at about 5'8" tall. In reference to the second man, Potter added, "As I approached this man, he stepped from the side of the road as if he were walking toward my vehicle. I was just starting to accelerate slowly from out of the curve at this time when I saw the man stepping towards my car. He looked in the direction of the first man. I then looked in my mirror again and I saw the first man shaking his head as if to say no to the second man. Sighting stood out in her mind because one of the men was barefooted and also because it occurred so early in the morning. It made her uneasy because she lived in the area. She returned home and tried to sleep, and about 45 minutes later, she said she observed a small dark colored car driving through the field next door to her home. She said it appeared as if it were riding its brakes. No address is given for Potter, so it's difficult to determine which field she was referring to or how far she lived from the Routier home. The sighting of the two men on foot happened approximately zero point 0.6 of a mile from the Routier residence.
The above descriptions pose more questions than they answer. These strange occurrences suggest there was more going on in the neighborhood at the time of the murders than the police and prosecutors were willing to acknowledge. Some of this information was presented in court and some was not. For example, there is a discussion in the trial transcripts of the police receiving information that a dark colored vehicle was observed in the area. As previously discussed, the defense also called Rickels to the stand to reiterate what she told police and others about an attempted break-in during the early morning of June. Sorry, you guys. I was using notes when I was doing this, and it doesn't. I don't know. Of June 6th. However, it is difficult to find all the information pertaining to the people and events observed in the time frame surrounding the murders. For instance, police confirmed that canvassing was done in the neighborhood. This is where officers go door to door to ask if anyone heard, saw, or experienced anything unusual before, during, or after the murders that might be connected. We have been unable to locate these notes, but if they did exist, they are likely stored with the other police files relating to this case. There is so much more to cover that creates doubt about the prosecution's case against Darlie. The more information revealed, the more apparent it becomes that an overzealous prosecution of a young mother may have resulted in a wrongful conviction. So, you guys, we did this and we want to go over, we have so much stuff to go over, but we're going to stop here and we're going to kind of discuss everything, and then we're going to do a part 2.
I think the big thing that they tried to focus on regarding the 911 call is how she said she picked up the knife and then immediately, oh, but we could have probably got prints off of it. Well, she had been stabbed. She had her throat slashed. She had defensive wounds and everything else, and she just witnessed her 2 kids getting murdered. She was probably worried legitimately about trying to find out who had killed her children, but they tried to make a big thing out of it, saying that she was trying to cover her ass for having her prints on the knife.
Yeah.
I mean, and to me, in that moment when she's still groggy, still trying to put all the pieces together, we know her mind had to have blocked out so much. It would almost be, with little ones in the house, it would just be second nature to pick a knife up. So, like, I never understood why they found that so damaging to make so much out of it. I never understood that.
Well, yeah, especially
the housekeeper reported seeing that black car.
Yeah, and you just witnessed your 2 kids get murdered. You've been brutally stabbed. You don't know if that man's left your house house, or if he's
Right.
still somewhere in the house or not. You're groggy as fuck. You're going to pick a knife up because you're unarmed and you need to make sure you're able to defend yourself.
Exactly. That's the first thing I would do. Pick up the knife. I wouldn't even be thinking, I'm going to go chase after this person, but I wouldn't be thinking of the evidence or anything at that time. I just want to protect. She doesn't.
And then the minute that somebody says don't, of course, that's going to be the first, oh my God, I already did, and I didn't even think it. What about fingerprints? That all makes sense to me.
Yeah, it does me too. And I'm sure this is probably something that we'll cover later on. But one of the big things that they tried to make a big issue of is they are trying to say that the knife came from within the Darlie Routier home and that it was also used to cut the screen to gain entrance into the home. But later they determined that that's not true, that the fibers that they found on that knife weren't from the screen at all. They were from a fingerprint brushing kit. That's where those fibers came from.
Right. And it's sad because the the defense at trial really didn't do much to help her.
Yeah, they were very...
No. I mean, they tried to make her out. They made her out to be this self-absorbed beauty queen that only cared about money and how she looked and her self-image. They made such a big deal about the fact that she had breast implants. And there's a lot more that we'll get into. I mean, we'll go talking about how they only played certain portions of video in court and didn't play the full video. And there's a lot of things they did to just egregiously make it look like she was this self-absorbed bitch that didn't care about her kids and was only concerned about money. But it's also important to note that those two kids' life insurance policies weren't even barely enough to cover their funeral expenses. If she was going to commit a murder for money, it would have been a whole lot more lucrative for her to kill her husband because he had the big life insurance policy.
Right.
And this is also something we'll go over, but I never knew about this information until earlier. That the court reporter was she messed up in the case and she did something. It says Routier case court reporter not immune from lawsuit over records. So I feel that, just this alone, she needs a new trial.
There is like 30,000 mistakes in the court transcripts.
Hey, Sarah. How are you? I messaged you on Sarah Jean the other day, but you didn't see it. Yeah, there's a lot. I didn't even know that, though. I didn't know that was one of them.
Yeah, there's so much in this case, and I do feel like, the prosecution was almost jealous of their lifestyle and used that against them.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much.
Yeah. So I guess we're just gonna. Do you guys have anything else you want to say about?
I've got a lot, but I'm sure it's stuff that we'll cover next go around or in a different episode of this because there's a lot. I'll just leave it at this. Darren is a whole lot more suspicious than Darlie, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
How did he sleep through all of that? How did he not hear anything? Oh, okay. Yeah, because I had messaged that one from another page. But how did he just sleep through all of that? That's insane to me. I mean, some people can. I'm a really hard sleeper, I guess, but I don't know. Nothing makes sense in this case. So, our next episode, we're gonna go over evidence. We're gonna go over. We have a lot of documents. It'll definitely be a longer episode, but we just wanted to get this out, explain everything that happened. And yeah, so we'll do a part 2.
Yeah,
soon.
because you can't do this without going over her injuries and the boys' injuries. Like, there's just so much to the case that all makes an entire picture.
There's a handprint that's not accounted for, didn't belong to anyone in the house. There was Darren trying to hire someone to break into the house shortly before all this even happened. So
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, she didn't do this to herself? How could somebody? How could she
look at her arms? Just look at her arms. How long would you have to hit your arms off of something to make them look that way?
Hold on, let me
bring up the picture that shows how bad the bruising on her arms is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
They say she did that to herself. I don't remember exactly how, but like smashing it off the counter or something.
Look at that.
And I just don't know how many times you would have to do that.
And during that time, Darren was, I mean, what did they think she did? She did that before the murders took place, or I mean, there
was no time after she called 911. There was no time for her to do much of anything, which is a problem with the sock.
Exactly. She did not do that to herself. You would have to be completely insane. And look at her neck.
We can't see anything, honey.
Oh. Oops. I'm over here scrolling through pictures and
yeah. So she had the defensive cuts, the bruises, and that's the one. Go back to that. Back
right there.
Well, there's that too, but that one really shows how deep the bruising is, and so she's going to have time to create all these wounds on her, kill her 2 kids, go plant a sock before she dials 911. I don't think so.
No, look at that.
I mean,
I bruise easily, like if I just bang my arm but it's not. That would have had to been some horrific, like really hard pushing or whatever. Look at that.
And the cut on her neck, the slash on her neck, was millimeters away from the jugular vein.
Yeah,
that was meant to be her death. Then they really thought that did her, because if that had hit right, she'd have been dead within minutes.
Yeah.
And her husband sticks with her, right? And he's sticking with her, and we'll go over that.
Exactly, Avery. The necklace was dug deep into her neck too. She didn't sit there and do that to herself.
Sarah said, "Looks like blood pooling inside her arm." Yeah, I don't see her doing this to herself at all. Wait, her necklace was embedded deep into her neck in the wound?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, if she was going to why would she do that with her necklace right on anyways? Look, that is horrible.
I'm just very, very thankful that she hasn't made it to execution yet, because usually Texas is on the ball about fast tracking their executions. So I am extremely grateful that she's got a good legal team, and they're doing some new DNA testing on the sock and everything now, because even the people that were on the jury said that if they knew everything they know now, they would have voted a completely different way.
Right.
I hope she gets a fair trial. I hope she gets released. It's really horrible. I feel bad for her too. But that is it for today, guys. Unless you guys have anything else to say.
No, like Thomas said, there's a ton to say, but
we'll just go over everything first, and then, like we said, we're going to go on Checking's channel and do like a think tank. So we might just go over everything and do that over there. We're just going to figure it out, but this is definitely going to be like a long series kind of thing.
Yeah, because I think we could come back to this case several times. It's so tragic because they were young.
Yeah.
You know, it was a very young family, and she has spent most of her life in jail.
Yeah, and then the one child that did survive, he has had his own issues. He's had bouts with
Right.
cancer and stuff, and he had to fight that without his mom around. So,
Oh, thank you, Christina. You're amazing too. We love you. And thank you, Avery, for showing up. Um,
thank you for including me, Christina.
this reminds me of the Lindsay Clancy case. Who's Lindsay Clancy?
Lindsay Clancy, she killed her kid. She was suffering from postpartum depression. This is absolutely nothing like that
The one,
case, Sarah.
the one that where she drove him into the lake.
No, no, that was Sarah. That was Sarah Smith. Lindsay
Yeah.
Clancy. Lindsay Clancy apparently killed all three of her children. This is a recent case. I did a short video about it over on my channel.
Oh, well, I'll have to go look at it. I probably know about it. I just don't know the name. Sarah said she doesn't think Lindsay did it. I don't know. I'll have to look into it because I don't know the case. Did she do it?
I haven't seen anything that points in the direction that she didn't do it, but I haven't actually dug deep into it either. So.
Avery, first of all, you know I showed up on your live like at 2 a.m. I do watch your channel. I just don't. When did you cover that? Because if it's all the way back, then like I haven't scrolled all the way back. Husband has a $1 million GoFundMe. Yes, and I watched, and that's when I first heard about the trial. A few days ago. Well, I'm sorry. I'll go look. I do watch your channel though. But that's how I first found out about the Murdaugh, whatever, that guy. I'd never heard about it before. Until I saw your live. I was like, who is this?
I don't know how you avoided hearing about the Murdaugh thing unless you lived under a rock for the past 5 years.
I don't know. I don't know. I've never heard of him or the I just found out about the Tony Todd. Stephanie Harlow did like a 3-part series on him, and now there's a trial happening for he murdered his family and slept with their bodies for like 2 weeks. She definitely did it. Wait, I haven't watched Avery yet, but see, I'm not the only one. Thank you. She definitely did it. She had postpartum psychosis. Why would husband leave to get dinner and come back to such a scene? He wouldn't have left her alone if it was so bad. But if she was the only one there, I know you are, Avery. I love you.
I'll tell you one that we should cover, or that you should cover at some point, and that's this guy named Todd Culliper. He's a realtor who is a serial killer, and he used to get the items that he used to murder his victims off of Amazon and leave weird reviews about the items he purchased on Amazon.
Oh my God. That's got my interest, Thomas.
Before, until I saw somebody, it was like the Amazon review killer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I saw. Was it Stephanie? It wasn't Stephanie Harlow. It was somebody else, like Kendall Ray, maybe, or I don't know.
I think Kendall's done something on it. I know that Bailey Sarian has as well. So Sarian.
I don't know. There's a lot of husbands that leave their, like, the women that kill their children, and they know, like the one that just happened recently. He had to quit his job and stay home because it was so bad. But if you had to quit your job and work, you had to work from home, I wouldn't even let them out of my sight. So a lot of husbands, they I don't know. I guess they just don't think it would ever be that bad where they would kill their children. I don't know. Todd Cole, yeah, Todd Cole, Colahip, whatever. We definitely gonna look onto that. But I don't know. I gotta look at that. I'm gonna go watch you and Avery's video. Cover the Jalila Davis case. Family wants investigation. That's the one that somebody recommended to us the other day, and once again, pop up. I think we're gonna do it Monday. But Garnett, that's the one that I sent you all the information to. All right, you guys. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Please like this video. Please go subscribe to. I can't put your guys's links down, but Shannon, Avery Shannon, Arctic Fox True Crime, Checking Convictions, Bethea Bite Reloaded. You're in Slimmy Hoffa's group for it. Yes. But yeah, thank you guys so much. Arctic Garnett, I will speak to you guys later.
All right, guys, have a good day.
Bye.
Thanks for being here. Bye.
All right, please subscribe if you guys haven't already. Oh, Avery's covered the Jalila case. There's a ton of pictures we loaded. Well, I made a new Facebook, so, and that's why I messaged you from, I don't know. Just check your messages, please. Yeah, thank you guys so much. Please continue to like our videos, share. Thank you, Christina. Have a wonderful day. Avery, I will talk to you later as well. I'm going to go check out your video and share it since you don't think I watch your channel. But I do, I promise. Love you guys. See you guys later.